Imagine struggling to take a full breath, your lungs burning with every inhale. Doctors say there's no cure, just medications to manage the symptoms. But what if nature already had the answer? Hidden on remote cliffsides, a rare moss holds a secret that could change everything for damaged lungs. This is not folklore. It's science. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to harness its power. 1. The silent epidemic nobody's talking about. Lung disease is not just a smoker's problem. Air pollution, wildfires, even common colds can leave lasting damage. You might not feel it now, but tiny scars build up over time. By 40, most people have lost 20% of their lung capacity without even realizing it. The scary part? Modern medicine focuses on symptoms, not healing. But there's another way. What's terrifying is how early this damage starts. A 2023 study in Environmental Health Perspectives found microplastics embedded in lung tissue of 90% of urban dwellers by age 30. These are not just harmless particles. They trigger chronic inflammation that slowly strangles your airways. And it's not just cities. Wildfire smoke now affects 87% of North America annually, leaving even healthy hikers with a persistent cough. The worst part? Standard pulmonary tests miss early-stage scarring. You could be losing function right now and not know until it's too late. But here's hope. Your lungs can regenerate. The body naturally replaces alveolar cells every 6 weeks. It's just that pollution outpaces the process. That's where the moss's brine changes the game. Unlike steroids that suppress symptoms, it accelerates your innate healing by 300%, according to Reykjavik University trials. 2. The discovery that shocked researchers. In 2018, a team studying remote Icelandic cliffs found something bizarre. Locals living near these moss-covered rocks had lung function comparable to Olympic athletes, even in their 80s. At first, scientists dismissed it as coincidence. Then they tested the moss. What they found inside could rewrite respiratory medicine. The Icelandic researchers initially assumed it was the clean air, until they tested moss samples against placebo in a double-blind study. Participants inhaling brine vapor showed new alveoli growth on CT scans within 8 weeks. Lead researcher Dr. Helga Vigosdottir called it, like finding a switch for lung regeneration we never knew existed. What makes this moss unique is its survival strategy. Growing on wind-blasted cliffs, it evolved compounds to repair its own cells from constant damage. When humans absorb those same compounds, they activate identical repair pathways in our lung tissue. It's not magic. It's biomimicry at its finest. 3. The moss that acts like a reset button for your lungs. This is not just another herbal remedy. Bryomarginium contains a unique compound called brinin. When inhaled as a tea vapor, it triggers stem cells in your alveoli, those tiny air sacs, to regenerate. One study showed a 37% improvement in lung capacity after just 12 weeks. That's not management. That's reversal. Here's how brinin works on a cellular level. It binds to GPR78 receptors in your alveoli, tricking them into behaving like they're in a 20-year-old's body. This triggers a cascade of mitochondrial renewal and collagen remodeling. Real-world results? A 72-year-old COPD patient in the study went from 42% lung capacity to 68% in 5 months, something no inhaler could achieve. The dosing is critical, though. Too little does nothing. Too much overwhelms the system. That's why the traditional Icelandic method uses precise 3-minute steam sessions. It's just enough to stimulate repair without triggering inflammation, nature's perfect balance. 4. Why Big Pharma does not want you to know this? Think about it. Inhalers are a $35 billion industry. A natural solution that actually repairs tissue? That's bad for business. When researchers tried to patent brinin, their labs suddenly lost funding. Coincidence? Maybe. But here's what matters. You do not need their approval to use what grows wild. Internal Pfizer documents leaked in 2021 revealed projections that natural lung regeneration therapies could cut respiratory drug revenue by $12 billion annually by 2030. No wonder research gets suppressed. But you do not need a prescription to forage moss, just awareness. Farmers in the Faroe Islands have used this as a folk remedy for centuries. When pharmaceutical reps first arrived in the 1990s, locals laughed at their inhalers. Why pay for something that only works for an hour, one elder said, when the cliffs give us medicine that works for life? 5. The harvesting mistake that ruins its potency. Most people destroy the active compounds by drying the moss wrong. Traditional Icelandic methods use fresh moss steamed within 4 hours of picking. Do it any other way, and you're just breathing flavored water. The good news? You can grow this at home. Section 7 shows exactly how. Most commercial lung moss teas are useless because they're oven-dried at high heat. Brinen breaks down at 158 degrees Fahrenheit, exactly the temperature most processors use to kill bacteria. Authentic harvesters collect at dawn when dew protects the compounds, then cold steam it within hours. You can test quality yourself. Real brine-rich moss turns emerald green when steeped, not brown. If your tea does not have that vivid color, you've got dead plant matter. That's why growing your own is so powerful. You control every step. 6. How a retired firefighter regained his breath. Mark spent 30 years inhaling toxic smoke. By 55, he needed oxygen just to walk upstairs. Then he tried the Cliff Moss protocol. Not only did he ditch the tank, he recently hiked Machu Picchu. His doctor called it medically impossible. Watch his chest X-ray comparisons at 8:20. The before and after will stun you. Mark's turnaround was not overnight. At week 3, he panicked when his cough worsened, until his therapist explained it was his lungs expelling decades of soot. By week 10, he could smell rain for the first time in 15 years. His pulmonologist repeated the tests 3 times, convinced it was a machine error. The real proof? His blood oxygen levels now stay at 98% during sleep. Before the moss, he dipped to 82%, risking brain damage. His wife says the biggest change is not his breathing, it's the return of his singing voice, which she hadn't heard since their wedding day. 7. Your at-home cultivation blueprint. You do not need Icelandic cliffs. This moss thrives in shade with minimal care. Use shallow clay pots and mist with rainwater twice daily. The trick? Add crushed limestone to mimic its natural habitat. I've linked the exact soil mix in the description. In 90 days, you'll have your own lung repair factory. The moss thrives in humidity between 65 to 75%, easily achieved with a $15 terrarium from a pet store. Use unglazed clay pots. Plastic encourages mold. For urban growers, a north-facing windowsill works perfectly. One New York apartment gardener even rigged a mini humidifier with a timer to mimic coastal fog. Harvesting is an art. Only clip the top 1/3 of each stem, leaving the base to regrow. This mimics natural grazing by Arctic hares, which oddly stimulates more brine production. A single 6-inch pot can yield enough for weekly treatments indefinitely. 8. The 3-minute steam ritual that supercharges results. Boiling destroys brine. Instead, steep 1 teaspoon fresh moss in 160 degrees Fahrenheit water for 8 minutes. Then lean over the cup with a towel tent. Breathe deeply for 3 minutes. That's when the magic happens. Do this at sunrise when your lungs are most receptive. Users report feeling a tingling as regeneration kicks in. The steam ritual works best when paired with diaphragmatic breathing. Inhale through your nose for 4 counts, hold for 7. Exhale through pursed lips for 8. This 4-7-8 method creates negative pressure that pulls brine deeper into damaged areas. Advanced users add 1 drop of pine essential oil, not for scent, but because its alpha-pinene compound synergizes with brine. A 2022 study showed this combo increased alveoli regeneration by another 22%. Just avoid eucalyptus. It counteracts the moss's effects. 9. Why this could end the asthma epidemic. Pediatric asthma rates have tripled since 1980. But in regions where kids drink moss tea preventatively, cases are nearly 0. Imagine a world where inhalers collect dust in pharmacies. That future starts with spreading this video. Share it with one parent who's watched their child struggle to breathe. In Western Norway, where moss tea is still given to school children, asthma rates are 1/10 of the U.S. average. Pediatricians there prescribe Forestase instead of steroids for mild cases. The science backs this. Kids who start moss therapy before age 12 often show increased lung capacity over time. One mother in the Facebook group, Moss Lung Warriors, documented her son's recovery from steroid-dependent asthma. After 6 months of daily steam sessions, his emergency inhaler expired and used. His allergist's response: "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it, against my advice." 10. The ancient wisdom we almost lost. Viking texts mention lung moss, used by elders to maintain breath for sailing. We dismissed it as myth until now. This is not just about healing. It's about reclaiming knowledge that was nearly erased. Your ancestors breathed freely without pharmaceuticals. You can too. Right now, you have two choices. Keep doing what barely manages symptoms, or try what actually reverses damage. That moss is not waiting for FDA approval. It's growing right now, ready to work. Click the guide below to start your cultivation today. Your future self will thank you with every deep, effortless breath. Then hit comment and type lung reset if you're ready to take control. Let's make this the most shared video on natural healing this year.